Okay, so now this is where we get fun and creative with our emails. So the first thing I want to do is I want to set all of this up to look like my brand colors. So as you can tell right here, this is like a light gray area, this is white over here, all sorts of stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the style area, and this is where we can kind of have fun with some colors and things like that. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to click on page, and the background is this gray color. Well, I want to replace that with the color of my brand. So your brand has specific colors on this color chart right here. And if you see, as I move the colors around, the numbers down below change, and then it imports a background color. Well, those aren't my branding colors. I happen to know the hex code for my brand. And so the color that I want to use is actually E3EEF1. And if I hit return, it shows up as this pale teal color, which is perfect, which is exactly what I want it to do. So you'll need to figure that out for your brand, or what you can do is you can just play around with this color wheel and pick the colors and then drag this around to how dark you want it or how light you want it. But we're going to go back to my original brand color. Okay, the next thing I want to do is explore the rest of these little areas here. So the next one is we can put a border color or a border at the top, so you can add, things like that. It's hard to see. It's a very faint line up there if you want to. I might want to put my accent color in there, so we'll just go ahead and do that. And so you can have that there. You can go ahead and pick the size. If you want to increase it by 5 pixels, it'll make it a little thicker. See how that bumped up a little bit? Or you can choose to have like a ridge. It really depends on what you want. I tend to go simple and do none. The same thing you could do here is you could go ahead and do some sort of a border around the actual email, so it defines the space where your people will be reading. So again, we may want to go ahead and put in our branding colors. So we'll go ahead and add that there. Now here's where you get to pick things that are a little bit more in tune with your brand. So for example, if you wanted to choose a specific font for your header, do you see how that changed over there? You can. I like to go with stuff that's simple to read, so I tend to use something like this one here. And then you can also pick the color of your header, and again, using the same color wheel, we can do whatever color we want that matches our brand colors. So put that in there. We can determine here if we want that number 1 heading over there to be bolded or italicized or centered. I'm going to use it centered. I don't like italics, so I'm going to do that. The line height, you can mess around with this if you want. You can do double spacing, 1.5. I tend to like the slight, and same thing over here. The spacing in between the letters and the words and things like that. So if we pull it together, it tightens up, or we can go normal and it expands out. Heading number 2, same thing. I'm going to change it. We don't have a second heading here, but if we did, we will have that stuff already built in. So we can put the code in there if we want to already have that ready to go in case we do add in a second heading. And same thing for the third heading. So we could just go ahead and pre-format all of that stuff so that if we do decide to pick those, they will already be in place for us, so we're not wasting time doing it later. And when we're done, we just hit save. Okay, so that was for the page. Now we've got the pre-header, and it's all the same stuff. Which is right up here, that pre-header. We could change the color of that, but I don't think I'm going to touch that because I really don't want that standing out too much. Again, I can pick borders if I want to. Padding is the space allotment at the top and bottom of the border if you wanted to add some in there. And again, I'm going to go ahead and pick my font. For this, because it's going to be regular text, I think I just want plain black. And then I'm going to leave the spacing alone. Now the link, what I do recommend you do is create some sort of a call out color for a link so people know that it's clickable. So I'm just going to add another brand color that I have, and we'll put that in there. And so my link colors are now going to be that magenta raspberry color. Then I can decide if I wanted to bold it or underline it or not underline it or break the link. So I'm going to take the bolding off and leave it like that and hit save. Okay, so then we're going to go into the header, and it's the same thing. This is this portion right here. I'm going to keep it a white background. I'm not going to do anything fancy here. I really want to make it as readable as possible so that it's not too overbearing to the reader. So I'm going to leave everything as is in the header and hit save. And now we're going to go to the body of the text. And again, I like a really nice and white background. So I'm going to leave that white. I'm not going to do any sort of borders or anything like that. However, I'm going to play around with this a little bit. I'm going to change my font, and I'm going to make it a true black color because I find black easier for people to read. I want to keep it on a left alignment. I'm going to keep the line space the same and hit save. And then we're going to go to the footer, which is down here. And it's the same sort of thing. I'm just going to leave it alone. I'm not going to play around with it at all because I don't want to call out too much attention to that because I want people to pay attention here to my content. If I have too much busyness going on all over in my email, I think it's going to distract people and it's going to take away from my message. I'm going to hit save there. Mobile styles, we're just going to leave this as the default because I believe that they have a good idea of what this will look like on mobile, and unless you're really good at spacing things out and recreating the wheel, I would leave it alone. So I'm just going to hit save and leave that alone. And the referral badge, since we are using a free version of MailChimp, they want to brand themselves so that they can get more people over to their platform. So they give you the choice to use one of two different referral badges. I like to go plain and simple. So I'm just going to use the clear one or the white background one instead of the black one here. And I'm going to hit save. All right, and I think that does it for the style section of the email.